Did y'all see how the assistant director and Emily in Paris dropped dead on set? And then they took one day off and went right back to filming. And I'm going to discuss a few details in a second. But it got me thinking, you know how like me and my mutuals are always saying that women are replaceable? Like they will literally just like throw away a whole marriage, family, everything, and just a whole new person, and as if that other woman just didn't exist, because it was always about labor. It wasn't about love. It wasn't about companionship. It wasn't about anything but free labor, because so many men just see us as labor, right? And you know, that is exactly what capitalism does. And you know, White Women Whisperers helped me see the connection between like corporate America and just like all of these systems, just how dehumanizing they are. And I couldn't help but think immediately that this is why we are all really better off if we see how this plays out in every area. Because I used to have such a rigid, I'm going to get in trouble, like approach to work, that I remember being like, why are all these people taking a break? You know, and luckily, thank goodness, I never said anything about it. I just more like admired people who knew how to take break, because I just thought like I was so afraid of being in trouble all the time. I was so afraid of being on the bad side of the boss, of looking bad, of looking lazy. I had to prove myself all the time. And also, even when I don't have to be working, I have a hard time resting. Look at me. Look where I am right now. Oh my God, the irony of this. Oh my God. I'm on my vacation. Well, I mean, whatever. I can work from anywhere. But I was like, okay, this is the last week of summer. I'm going to come out here to the Alps and camp and, you know, swim and do, you know what I've been doing all day? Working. God, I still have more work to do. But the fact that I even like came out here and like swam some and tried to relax, that's improvement for me, because I never knew how to stop working. And the film industry loves people like that, because especially if you're, you know, it's full of all of these people who love art. They love film. They love creativity. And this is why the creativity in the U.S. is so messed up, because there's like, I swear, like even with this, like if I take time off, I get punished by the algorithm. And then as soon as I build a platform on you know, following on one platform, then, you know, they shadow ban you, or they like ban it or whatever. So like artists are always like struggling to make money off their art. And then we also have a hard time like not working, you know, because there's very, very little financial security with most artists I know. Have like, either if they do have financial security, they know it could go away at any point. So they're always trying to like save and like look to the future always. But the film industry is particularly like menacing, because it is run a lot like the army. And if, you know, White Woman Whisperer and Daniela, Knitting Cult Lady, in their podcast will hate white women, but, you know, Daniela's helped me realize how much, you know, the army and the United States and like all, like it's, you know, cult-like, and it's always about exploitation of labor. So all these systems are about. And, you know, a lot of people compare the film industry to the military a lot. It's got a very clear hierarchy, and it involves like a lot of like hazing and just, you know, like, do you believe in the mission? Even if it's like the dumbest movie ever, the dumbest, crappiest movie, you still are like surrounded by fellow creatives and artists, and you just like, it's such a, like in theory, and even in reality, it's such a cool industry. But it's got so much ego and so much exploitation and so much, and like, so you don't mind working a minimum of 12 hours a day. Sometimes it's 16. You don't mind you having Fraturdays, which is what we call it, when your Friday goes, they keep going over every night, and then it bleeds into Saturday, and then they do, you know, night shoots. Oh, that's great. That's like having jet lag all the time. And then if you say, you never say no to projects, you never say no to gigs, or you finally learn to, but it's hard, because if you say no, you may not be asked again. If you make trouble on any of these gigs, you may not be asked back. And then you have directors out here who have all the privilege in the world, and they have their wife, who is running their entire everything, is the producer of their movie, is answering all their phone calls, all their texts, everything, so that they don't even have to have a phone. And what do? They ban phones on set. Now, allegedly, Christopher Nolan didn't ban all chairs on set. He just did it for Video Village, which is very different. That's where that's the people who sit around the monitor and stuff. But that's also where like the script supervisor sits, and like a lot of like the set dresser, which is what I was. You know, we would sit there and watch the screen because of continuity and stuff. So I'm not really sure how these sets run, but all of these white dudes who run film sets tend to run it without any care, without any like emotional intelligence involved, without thinking about the needs of their crew members who maybe have, I don't know, disabilities like hypermobility or any kind of back problems, who maybe have children or a sick parent or somebody who's dependent on them to be available for a phone call. Now, again, on set, of course, you turn off your phones and everything, but to ban phones? Come on. I mean, even banning smoking on set. He's unsuccessfully banned phone. Smoking very successfully. Okay, but like, what if, like, I look, I do not like smoke. I live in France. I have to deal with it all the time over here. But you know what? I do know that, like, it does something for people. You know, like, especially such a stressful set. It's such a stressful industry, such a stressful job. And we have people like using all these coping mechanisms to deal with the pressure and the hours and the sacrifices that go with that job. And, you know, Bradley Cooper, wannabe director, wannabe Oscar winner. No chairs on set. It changes the energy. You sit down. Shut up. So this guy is dead. He is 47. That's my age. I've seen some people say he died on the 22nd. Others are saying he died on Thursday the 21st. So I'm not sure which it is, but either way, at most, that crew got one day off and then had to work Saturday. So he died at 7, well, he collapsed on set at 7 p.m. in front of the crew members. Now, allegedly, there was a defibrillator on set, which there should be. There's always supposed to be a medic on set, but they couldn't bring him back, so he was pronounced dead at 7:30 on a Thursday night. So this is like not even really, this is a little misleading. Days after? No, they had one day off. Because look at this. Lily Collins was spotting back on set alongside her co-stars on Saturday, August 23rd. So, oh, cool. Y'all are working Saturdays now. Most films, I don't know, like whatever. I don't know all the rules now. Maybe it's different. But, you know, you usually don't film on Saturdays. It's usually Monday to Friday. But I don't know, maybe if the assistant director, who is one of the main people on set, he dies late at the end of the day of a work day on Thursday. I guess maybe y'all should take one day off. God. There were a couple threads or whatever on this. This one says, you know, I remember being so scared of losing my place in the industry that I never once took a sick day, not at CAA, not at Netflix, not even as a writer's assistant. I worked until I collapsed. This one too, in my previous career, I was an employee who never took sick days or leave because I was too afraid of losing my job or not being available to my employer. These companies don't give a fork about you. They resume shooting the next day, basically the day after. Then there was a bunch of other stories underneath that thread if you want to check it out. This person, I worked on another set where someone passed abruptly, and honestly, nobody talks about the stress invoked on crew members from production. They call me to come help fill in the next day because the production company didn't give them time, a day off, and they resumed production 2 hours after the ambulance cleared. Oh, this person passed on the production in front of their team. Production, they could care less. They won't stop for anything to make the day. And then this one too. I worked my entire TV production career thus far as a freelancer and always used to say, I don't get paid if I don't work. Y'all, I still say that. I was so gripped on missing days from the timesheet, I've recently decided to bet on myself and seeing this reminder why my body wanted out a while ago. Obviously, this is not just the film industry. This is like across so many industries, especially in the U.S. But you know what? I don't know how this set is run, but I know that like my friends who work for U.S. American companies here in France, they get all the benefits of French people. One of my friends works for a car company, one of the major ones, and even though none of the people in the U.S. who work for that same company get any of this, he gets 5 weeks of paid vacation, all the things that they get here because they have to do that here. So I'm kind of curious how they film over here. I don't know many people in the industry who work over here. Let me tell you something. The film industry was one of my favorite jobs I've ever had, and my favorite job I left because I knew I would never become a writer if I stayed working as a crew member. And the crew members are the people that, you know, nobody even knows your name. No one knows what you do. But when you work 12 to 16 hour days, 5 days a week, it's really hard to pursue comedy. I had to always take my classes on Sundays. I had no social life because I could be, especially once I started freelancing more in commercials because they were like shorter hours, I could never commit to anything because what if I got work? Become really unreliable. It's hard to have friends, it's hard to have relationships. Your body is so freaking stressed. And at the end of the day, if you drop dead on set, they will replace you and do anything to get that shot. Those poor crew members, it is traumatizing to watch someone die, and they had to go right back to work almost immediately. Fork them. This is a comment song about Mo swimming. He hates swimming. We're camping now in the Alps, only about an hour and a half away. Look at this forking place, oh my god. But Mo's hates swimming. By the way, I have to have a leash on. I hate it, but and them the rules. And well, whatever. I took it off once he was deep enough. Anyway, look at him, look at him, look at him. He hates swimming. Everything he hates that most dogs love. He hates dog stuff. But look at him. His desperate need to not be abandoned motivated him to just swim a little bit to make me proud. Anyway, look at one more time. Loves, good job. Comet song, special comet song from the Alps on the end of our vacation camping. Got a lot about it on Patreon. And voila.